Welcome to Lesson 5, which is a discussion on expressions or alfāẓ in logic of our course on logic or Mantiq. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma akhrijna min zulumatil wahm wa akrimna bi nuril fahm. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Before we embark on Lesson 5, let us have a quick summary of Lesson 4, which is about the usage and definition of logic as instrumental science. 1. Although the birth of the science of logic as an organized set came much later than the genesis of thinking and the rational man, it does not mean that man's mind acted illogically before this time, and suddenly, by the organization of logic by a certain person, all minds obeyed his instructions in order to act logically. Number 2. Some people have presumed that the compilation of logic was basically not done by Aristotle, but it was done earlier by Oriental scholars, particularly the Persians. Then, during Persia's conquest by Alexander, books on logic and other scientific works were taken to Greece. Number 3. These rules on logic have been given to man inherently by God the Most High. Therefore, if today our philosophy is based on logic, this logic is in fact a God-given inherent logic and not Aristotelian logic per se. Number 4. Of course, since Aristotle has established the rules and compiled them, logic is attributed to him. But it must be said that in reality, it is Allah, the creator of man, and not Aristotle, who is the formulator of logic. A preliminary discussion. Peculiarities of word-related discussions in logic, signification or dalala, division of signification into verbal or lafzi and non-verbal or غير lafzi, and number 5, different kinds of verbal signification. So these will be the subtopics that we will be dealing with in this lesson. Preliminary discussion. The tools for thinking are the concepts, and logic has nothing to do directly with words or expressions or alfāẓ. But two factors cause logicians to raise some discussions on expression in the context of logic. One, expressions are instruments to easily convey concepts. Number 2, profound relation and connection between the word and its meaning sometimes cause mistakes in thinking within the realm of concepts. To explain the second point, pay attention to the following example. If one infers or deduces a person in favor of peace is a dove and a dove is a bird, then a person in favor of peace is a bird. For sure, we know that he is wrong. The question is, why? If we pay closer attention, we will see that the reason for this mistake is the word with two meanings, causing false reasoning. The conditions of expressions, therefore, may affect the meaning and cause mistakes in thinking. Hence, the role of logic is to avoid such mistakes. You may ask about the difference between word-related issues in logic and literary issues such as morphology or sarf and syntax or nahu. In answer to this question, we say that the peculiarity of word-related issues in logic is that it is general to all languages, whereas grammatical issues are particular to each language, and its rules are not applicable to other languages. For example, synonymy, which means the sameness of meaning among several words, which is one of the word-related issues in logic, can be found in all languages and is not particular to one language or tongue. But the rule, a noun to which another noun has been attributed is marked with the vowel sign below the last letter, or another sign with the same quality, is particular to the Arabic language. Now, as mentioned before, logic is directly related to concepts. But on one hand, concepts are so related to words that by hearing, seeing, or reading familiar words, their meanings come to our mind immediately. This kind of relation is signification, or what we call as dalala. Hence, the word is the signifier, dal, and its meaning is the signified or madlul. Of course, signification is not limited to this kind. In fact, there are other manifestations of signification like writing, boards, symbols, etc. that signify a meaning. So signification is defined as the state of a thing in a way that when the mind learns it, immediately it transfers to another thing. On this basis, just as the meaning of tree signifies its meaning, that is tree in the external world, the doorbell also signifies the presence of a person at the door. Yet, both significations are not the same. As it was said in the example above, not all significations are the same. Therefore, according to the difference in the signifiers, we can divide signification into verbal or lafzi and non-verbal or ghayri lafzi. Verbal signification is when the signifier is a word, lafz. Non-verbal signification is when the signifier is not a word. For example, the signification of writing, designs, boards, and symbols of different sciences. The three different kinds of verbal signification are coincidental or mutabaka, partial or tadammum, and associative or iltizami. Okay, let us first deal with the first kind, which is coincidental signification. This kind of signification can be found in every word, and it means signification of a word to its total meaning. So, for example, the signification of the word book refers to all its pages and covers. Partial signification. This signification is when the meaning of a word has a component. That is, when the word signifies any of its components of meaning. Therefore, this kind of signification is not applicable to the words which have no components. For example, signification of the word book to any of its sheets or cover is partial signification, but signification of the word dot to its meaning is coincidental, and there is no partial signification in it. Associative signification. Sometimes the meaning of a word is connected with another meaning. Whenever the first meaning comes to the mind, the second meaning comes to the mind as well. In this way, the word that signifies the first meaning signifies the second meaning as well. So this kind of signification is called associative signification. An example is the signification of the word inkpot to the word pen for a person who knows the connection of inkpot and pen. It is clear that associative signification does not exist in all words. Okay, so that's all about lesson 5. So as a review questions, or we can also consider it as prelectio questions. 1. Why do we have to raise the issue of words or expressions in logic? Number 2. What are the peculiarities of the word-related issues in logic? Number 3. Write down the meaning and kinds of signification, or what we call as dalala. Number 4. Explain the kinds of verbal signification along with their respective examples. And as a practical exercise, examine the kinds of verbal signification in the following terms: book, table, telephone, clock. Okay, so that's all about lesson 5. So next meeting, we will deal with lesson 6, which is about the classifications of words, insha'Allah ta'ala. So for more similar contents, subscribe to Wayfaring with Mansoor channel. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.